Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Full Power FRIEZA, and I owe you guys an apology. You guys have been asking for me to review it for like a month now, and I've been saying as soon as it gets here, because I'm like, where's my package? It's not coming. It came a month ago. I've had it in my garage the whole time. So sorry about that. Sorry about the delay on the review, but here it is nonetheless. I know a lot of people are psyched about getting a full power FRIEZA. I am as well. Do I think it's going to be the best figure ever? Probably not, given his proportions. I'm guessing there are some limitations here and there, but I'm thinking it's going to be at least all right. So we'll see. I haven't handled it very much. I basically just found it and said, okay, time to review it. So we'll see what I think by the time we're done. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we get into the review, I do want to show you my package. I like it. They didn't do a white background. He stands out nicely. It looks good on the package. Nice figure photography right there. Some more shots over here. Nothing weird. I like it. Photos on the back are still too small if you ask me. Some of the figures, I had one just the other day. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I lost it. I think it was Chainsaw Man. He's got bigger photos on the back and it looks nicer. But it's still a fine package. Usual SH Figuarts Dragon Ball packaging. Fine for people who want to keep them in the box. Fine for people who don't. Alright, this guy stands just about 13 centimeters, maybe a touch taller than that. That's going to make him about 5 1/8, we'll say. Here he is up against Darwin. He's quite a lot smaller. Here he is up against Gherkin. He is probably scaled well enough. I don't think we're looking for perfect accuracy with the Dragon Ball line at this point, so I think that's going to have to do. If you did happen to miss this guy, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he was a premium Bandai, so if you need to get one, I'm pretty sure Big Bad Toy Store has these in stock. I'll put a link in the description below if you need to track one down. Alright, let's do a question of the day. Which version of FRIEZA is your favorite? For me, it's number 2. Always number 2. But this one's pretty cool also. Alright, let's get into the aesthetic. I've heard some talking from some people that his proportioning is awesome. Some people say it's not right, and I'm here to tell you it's somewhere in between. It's mostly pretty good. I think they got the overall look down pretty well. The one thing that really stands out to me, if you go back and look at screenshots or images of him from other media, his chest is usually really small, unless he's doing the thing where like his arms are back and he's arching his back and that kind of thing, so it's pulling out his pecs. Normally his chest is really small, and I think that's what's throwing off some people. He's got kind of big pecs, like not kind of, really big pecs, and it definitely does change the look of the character a lot. I personally prefer it if his pecs are small, because it does help with articulation, and it does look like that most of the time, or he does look like that most of the time, I would say. And then if you do want to pose him with his arms back, you know, the butterfly joint can account for that extra meat that you would need. So I do think there's a little bit to be improved upon here. Not that it's an actual problem, because I see what they're going for. You know, the big pecs make sense. But also I can see why people would have a problem with that. And I personally like the smaller pec look on this guy. I think it gives him a much more menacing look. But let's get into what is here. He is sculpted really well. There are veins and things throughout. Lots of little scuff marks. Of course, none of those are painted, but they're there. There is shading throughout. Now, here's the thing that kind of, it's weird, okay? So they like to do the blue shading. You can see that. There's blue shading throughout, and that looks nice. But his plastic is almost gray. It's not quite as white as I would have expected, and it doesn't actually look like it's supposed to be that. It almost looks dirty. And you could say, well, it's battle damage, but they don't do that, and it's like the entire thing. So to me, it looks like they did a grayer plastic. And then that white-blue shading that they've done makes it look like he's actually dirty, because the white-blue area looks really clean. So it's a little bit weird. I don't think it's a problem necessarily. I don't know that you'll notice it, but it's definitely a thing. If you have it in hand, it looks weird because the blue shading is so bright and clean compared to the rest of the what looks like dirty white. So it's a little bit odd, but the sculpting is nice overall. I like how shiny, or not shiny, I guess shiny, yeah. Glossy, we'll say, the purple is. No metallic on this one, though. I think they used to do metallic on FRIEZA, didn't they? Huh. Maybe not. Maybe I'm going nuts. But either way, it looks good. The face, nice and clean. Yeah, no issues there. Yeah, I think it looks good overall. Definitely some room for improvement. So for those of you who are like, yeah, I don't think it looks quite right, I can see where you're coming from. And for those of you who think, it looks wonderful, well, I can see where you're coming from too. I'm going to give it an overall rating for the aesthetic, all things considered. I'm gonna say 8. It's still pretty darn good, and it's gonna look good on a shelf. Alright, now as far as accessories go, we have a total of 4 heads. The smirky head that comes on them in the package, 2 different angry heads, and then the yelling head. They all look wonderful if you ask me. You get a good spread of hands, nothing I need to note particularly. And then you get some alternate feet, so that's a good thing for the air poses. You do get an alternate face for Gherkin. I like that a whole bunch, though the scuff on his face, they painted it, but then they also sculpted different lines that don't line up with the painted part, so that's a thing. That's a little bit weird. And then lastly, we get FRIEZA's energy effects, which look wonderful. I love the shading from pink to purpley pink. Looks really, really good. They're fairly milky, fairly opaque, but they still have some light transmittance, and they look really good, and they just peg into his hand, and I love that they included those. The only downside is we do not get a flight stand for this guy, so I will go... I'm gonna go 8, honestly, because I think we could still get more, and he's fairly expensive. But it's still a good spread of accessories. No flight stand's kind of a bummer. Like, they have the flight feet. And he spends probably most of his time in the air, I would say, in that fight. I don't really remember. Do you guys remember? Are they mostly in the air? I think so. Alright, so yeah, decent accessories, pretty good allotment, but this guy really would have benefited from a flight stand. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. I'm happy to report, or at least I think I am. Let's see. Well, okay, didn't want to pull his neck off, but there's the ball peg for the neck. I should have mentioned this in the aesthetic section. The neck is too gappy, if you ask me. Can I get that head off? Hold on one second, guys. This is getting annoying. There we go. So, I didn't mention it in the aesthetic section. I think his neck is too gappy for no real reason. Because the way they do their necks, there we go. They sit pretty high, but they still have really, really big gaps that don't benefit too much. Like, there's way more gap than is necessary, so I don't care for that. Also, it's too tight on the sides, so the hard plastic scratches the PVC. So be careful when you're posing it. Yeah, it just sits a little high, but you do get the double ball peg neck. Up here and a single down there, you already saw that. So you should be able to, other than for the chunk, though his head does sit really low on the neck, you should be able to pose him, but see how gappy that gets? It'll pose, but you're going to end up with a lot of adjustment posing because of all of the gapping in that neck joint. So that's a bummer. They really didn't need to make it that gappy. It looked pretty weird. His neck could go down a lot farther and still have the exact same range. So that's a bit of a bummer. For the shoulders, it looks like they really went to town, giving you all kinds of range, and unfortunately, it's just not really there. The way they did it, it's too far inset into the torso, into the hard pieces. So, like, yes, you can move it around, but it's fine. It's just not gonna be like, it looks to me like they were really trying to add a bunch, and they didn't add much at all, so it's just fine. Raising the arm, it's just horizontal. And, like, he's got giant shoulders, and I get that they didn't want to cut into these, but would you guys rather... Let's do another question of the day. Would you rather have the purple part cut into a little bit to have a lot more range, or would you rather just be able to go that far only and have it look better? For me, on a Figuarts, I'm leaning more towards the range of motion. I don't mind having a little bit more cut, or connect the ball lower so that it'll work better without cutting it. They had options. They didn't choose to do them. Alright, bicep swivel is going to be fine. Double jointed elbow. For a chunky guy, he is okay. Ball hinges in the wrist, that's fine. For the torso, this thing moves as usual. Let's see, he can lean... Oh. Okay, well, they didn't account for that. They've got so much room to work in here that they could have easily not had that gap. That gap is ridiculous. That's crazy. Going forward, he can lean forward pretty far. Still gets a little bit weird, but not too bad. Be careful with this thing. Even though it moves, it will poke him in the pubis. Be careful there. Side to side is really nice. I'll take that. Rotation's going to be there. Then you get a little bit more range down here at the lower torso. This bugs me. They did not need to have that big of a gap. They could have easily added more material in there. That's a bummer. Especially for that one pose where he's leaning back with his arms back and his chest is out, which is what they kind of sculpted him for. That's a little bit irritating. Also, I can't get this piece to come out properly. It doesn't want to stay in place like the one on his left, our right. I guess I'm going to just have to leave it like that. I don't know. Alright, let's see how the legs function. Hopefully they're good. No drop down, should be standard hip. Let's see. Going out to the side. Oh no. Oh no, no. Guys, no. Bandai. Why? Why would you do that to FRIEZA? They gave him the world's biggest crotch nuggets. Oh, these right here. Never okay to stick down like that. Oh man, they're so obviously crotch nuggets. That's a bummer. He does get decent range, but the crotch nuggets are strong with this one. Bringing the leg forward, not bad. It's just about horizontal. Yeah, that's fine. Going back, you get a little bit, but obviously there's a lot of hard plastic here. What's going on there? I'm too close to the camera. Can you see that? These marks right here look dirty. Maybe this figure is just dirty. And that's why the plastic looks weird. Huh. Okay, well, while we're here, let's look at his tail. It's just a very limited ball hinge. Very, very limited. I don't think they do a good job with tails, frankly, and this is no exception to that. Alright, let's see how the knees work. They work nicely. Not the best looking thing in the world. A little bit mechanical for being such a basic knee, but it's okay, I guess. And then for the ankles, the feet, you have to, oh, they pop off pretty easily. This ball hinge is on a little ball peg, so it'll help you to adjust the feet a little bit. Bring them forward. You can get the feet back that far. Bring it back. You can tuck it in. Can you tuck it in? You should be able to tuck it in. Yeah, you can tuck it in a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty limited still. Put a bigger ball hinge in there, Bandai. I don't know why they keep screwing up Dragon Ball ankles, but these are decent. These are not bad. These are not at all close to the worst Frieza ankles. Okay, so time for the articulation rating on this guy. It is fine. There's a lot there that could be a lot better. Nothing that's too bad, so I would say it is fine. I don't think you're going to get this guy and be like, oh man. But you're also not going to be like, oh man. It's just fine. I'll give him a 7. He's fine. He will pose, but not impressively. And now it's time for the final rating. Is this the best Frieza ever? No. They've actually had a lot of really good Friezas with the exception of the Xenomorph form being too small, arguably. I mean, I think so, but there's a reason for it, so whatever. Anyway, they've had a lot of good Friezas, and this one is up there. It's fine. I'm gonna say, I'll say 8 out of 10. It's a good release. I don't think if you wanted it, you should avoid it. I don't think it should necessarily be your starting point into the line unless you really like the character. If you're just buying to buy, this may not be the one for you. It's a good enough release, don't get me wrong, but they have way better ones. Cooler, for instance, is way cooler than Frieza. But this is still a good one, and I'm curious what you guys think in the comment section below. I was hoping to be blown away. I'm satisfied, I guess. That's about it. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.